Unscripted with Jed Snyder. I'm your host, Brad Oldhouse, and today we're going to jump into a topic that is going to be a lot of fun for you guys to hear. It's going to be a lot of fun for me to ask about. I hope it's going to be a lot of fun for Jed to talk about. But, it's been well documented that, he played here. He was with the Ice Pirates. But what happened to him afterwards, right? I am absolutely fascinated with his origin story. So we're going to dive between Ice Pirate years and taking over the Bighorn years, and however long that takes, that's how it's going to be.
Cool.
All right, so nice and broad here to start us off, Jed. You finished playing in Helena. Take us from there.
So I had a couple of different options leaving Helena. I'd end up having, we talked to Michigan State a little bit, was offered a few things like a walk-on, then a 75% right after. I just had to get into school and do that sort of thing, which would have been cool because I played all my AAA in the Detroit area. Had a lot of friends there and that sort of thing. Yeah, I couldn't really pass the ACT, at all, ever. I think I took the fucking thing 4 times and it went down. I think it went because I was supposed to get a 19 to be able to even get into start enrolling at state. And it went from 18, 17, 16, 15. It was like, fuck it, what are my other options, right? At that time, I was really heavily recruited in Saskatchewan. So the Minot Americans, at the time, they were called the Top Guns. They really, really were after me. And then I went with a kind of an all-star team, a Saskatchewan 20-year-old all-star team to the Chowder Cup in Boston. And that was pretty cool. We ended up winning the whole thing against Team USHL, and that was a lot of fun. And I was there with, I think at the time, the coach was Kevin Dickey. He was a coach in Melfort. Was it Melfort? Yeah, it was Melfort. So, they were hosting the the Tier 2 national championships that year. So, it was a really cool experience and that sort of thing. I was really excited about it. And then they kind of shifted interest, and Minot came in and was really, really pushing hard. And back then, you were allowed to have 2 overagers. So you could have kids that were turning 21. So, and to be an American and an overager is completely unheard of. And Minot was willing to do it. So, it was talked heavily. We were literally, my conversations with their coach and stuff were like, hey, yeah, I'm coming. Well, so that kind of got hicked up because I had a kid living with me named Craig Reed, Phoenix boy. Dad coached ASU, and lo and behold, I took Craig back to Scottsdale where he lived and spent a couple of weeks and toured ASU's campus. And I called fucking North Dakota from the campus, said, I ain't fucking coming, bro. And you can imagine the comments that were flown my way regarding that. So that's how I ended up at ASU. And it was, the first year was an amazing experience. I played with Steve Hammett, we had Jason Hammett with us on our national team, and I believe last year's team as well. His dad and I were line mates. Another guy probably should have been playing D1 hockey, but just his dad was coaching, and he just wanted to have fun with it and be there. We had about 4 or 5 guys that were that way, including ASU's NCAA head coach Greg Powers was a freshman on that team as well. So it was a pretty cool group. We actually made a national run that year. I think it was the first time we ever beat U of A and ever. So that was some huge milestones regarding that, it was pretty exciting. Like you said, that year was it was entertaining to say the most. And ASU was cool because you could still go to Mesa Community College half credits and ASU half credits. And that was back when the ACHA, you could actually go play in the East Coast League and come back. We had another guy that did that. So it was just a complete fuck show, and it was, but in a really good way. And then we played Penn State and all the teams that were our Big Ten now we played, and because they were all ACHA D1.
So, and this is just for reference for everybody out there. This is before ASU goes D1.
This is the only program ASU had. They had ACHA D1, and then obviously when Greg graduated and took it over, he took the ACHA D1 team and made it NCAA Division I. It's an amazing program what he's built there. I went down and toured it, and it was it's legit. Like he's got a legit program. He's doing an amazing job with it. Now they have like NCAA Tier 1. I believe they've got ACHA Division 1 and 2.
Wow.
And so like they've got women's and stuff. So they've got hockey's really come full circle down there for Greg and what they've done. So it's been pretty cool.
For sure.
Yeah. So then ASU, and then the next year, it was funny because I was always when it came to hockey, it was always work ethic for me. And then I was like, I think I got a little too big for my britches on some levels. So I was like, and I had a really good year, and I was like, and I wasn't doing well in school, shocker. And then, so that next year I was ineligible for the first semester. So I ended up going to a free agent camp and got picked up by the Columbus Chill in the East Coast League.
Wow.
Did a free agent camp in Niagara Falls. Wasn't my best showing. And at that point, gone down some rabbit holes in lifestyle. So like the work ethic had kind of gone away, whatever. Ended up at their camp. It didn't work out well. Got released, came back, and then played second semester of that next year at ASU. And then finished that out. It was fun. Had some other guys come in they used to play for Greener at the Pikes Peak, like Keith McElroy and a few other guys coming in. And so it was a lot of fun. It was. And that was pretty much it for my college. I was actually coming back to Helena after that second season, because I was going to actually skate and get ready to go and give pro an actual shot, as opposed to just showing up and just being good enough or not good enough. So I ended up, it was weird because there was a guy named Sly Nod who was, he played for the Philadelphia Phantoms. He was like the leading point getter for the New Mexico Scorpions and in the Western Pro League, which is now basically, if you look at the North American League demographic, they've absorbed all those old Western Pro League teams. So if you look back, like New Mexico wasn't one, but like Corpus Christi, Odessa, like all those teams, El Paso, Shreveport, they were all in that Western Pro League, and then they just became null teams. So, so I went and I was coaching with Paul. I was coaching with Greener in Great Falls. That's right. There's a piece in there. After that second year, I went and coached with Greener in Great Falls.
Okay.
And then I was like, okay, I was going to make a run for it. And I lasted a half a season, and it was just one of those things that the money didn't pay out, and like it was just hard to exist up there based on what it was. It was an amazing experience. It just was like it was not going anywhere, it was just really kind of, you couldn't really work elsewhere, but then they couldn't afford to pay you more and that sort of thing. You just kind of felt like you were just kind of existing. And I was like, I got to fucking get a purpose again. And I loved it. It was an amazing team. It was awesome. But it was just, like I said, it was just kind of wearing me down with that, and I needed to figure something else out. So I go back and I finished again with ASU. So that would have been like another second semester. And then I went for the pro thing, and I went to see Paulie, because Paulie was our captain in Great Falls, and he was in Denver, and he actually signed a legit full scholarship deal with DU out of the Great Falls Americans. He actually played here as well. And I went and stayed with him, and we were at a bar, and that's when I met Sly Nod. And he was like, dude, I'm a player coach in New Mexico. He goes, yeah. He goes, come live with me, skate, train, and fucking we'll give you a shot. So I ended up in fucking Albuquerque in July, training with this dude and skating with this guy, and like it was awesome. Problem is that not a lot of training happened. A lot of skating happened. The training was fucking out back and then strip clubs. So I mean, I really don't know how else to fucking coat that one. But
Maybe a couple of 12-ounce curls, perhaps. Or
whatever
the case may be.
Got shoved in front of my face
For sure.
But it was and it was a lot of skating. I was improving dramatically. Like it was really, really good. I ended up playing a couple of exhibition games and stayed on, and then got put on waivers to Tupelo, Mississippi, and that I'm not driving all the way to get traded again and whatever. And I was just I was over the whole experience. So yeah, then they ended up back in Phoenix, man. And then that's when the securities, bar stuff, collections, all that kind of lifestyle took over, club scene kind of shit, and Yeah, it was, and that was like right in the height of like all the MMA stuff, like right when it was getting really, like it was starting to gain momentum, like in that late '90 period. So it was a really exciting, fun, and completely, I want to say indulgent, like just go down the fucking list, right? Because I mean, it was just that time in the '90s, especially in Arizona, was a complete mess. But yeah, I was working in a club in Scottsdale called Access Radius. It was an amazing club. It was a lot of fun, a lot of famous people, a lot of substances, a lot of booze, like just really like Studio 54 of the West, right? And there was a guy, man. I was working with my buddy Nick Granger at the time behind the bar, and there was a guy named Paul DeMeo was his name, and we started bullshitting, and come to find out he gotten fucked up diving. He took so when we get into talking about saturation diving, you breathe like a helium oxygen mixture. Like you don't breathe normal air because of a thing called nitrogen narcosis. You can't. And the helium is an inert gas, so it doesn't have any narcotic effect under pressure, right? So anyway, he was down like 400 foot or whatever, and they sent him a pure slug of O2, which will kill you. Because as the partial pressures increase, the amount of O2 that the human body needs actually decreases. So they sent him like a straight up pure slug, got a settlement, and bought a fucking art gallery in Old Town Scottsdale for his sister. And I was like, it was weird, the whole story about it. And he had some tics, that were side effects of his injury or his deal, right?
Being damn near dead.
Yeah. So he would always tip Mike. He would always tip Nick and I pretty heavily just to watch out for him, because if we saw it, he would leave and then come back a few days later once he got sorted out. And he's sitting there talking to his chick, and you kind of see like his twitches happening. And we told him about it. He ran off to the bathroom and then left, but then we gave her his business card and stuff. So it was like, we just kind of took care of him on that. And then come back, and we finally asked him his story. And he's like, I was a saturation diver in the Gulf of Mexico. And this is my story. And I'm like, I always wanted to do that. Huh. And he was like, really? And I'm like, yeah. I said, it's no shit. I said, when I think I was like 13 or 14, I told my mom I was going to be an underwater welder offshore. Like, that's what I was going to do. And he was like, well, I'll bring a brochure in next week. So he brought a brochure in, and a buddy that was a welder in the North Sea came in, and we sat and talked. Obviously, I had to work, but we sat and bullshitted a little bit. Looked at the brochure. Literally within 3 weeks, I quit my job and was living in fucking Long Beach, going to dive school.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
Holy
pretty
moly.
crazy.
So before we go into the saturation diving, I kind of want to take a step back, go back into some of those memories off the ice with hockey. And you don't need to tell some of the craziest of the crazy stories, but is there something that you could share with the audience that's kind of quirky, kind of fun, but won't necessarily get you in trouble?
I'm not really worried about the trouble part. Well, okay, so rookie night at ASU was hilarious. We were in San Francisco, and I'll never forget it that we all just we just beat Stanford, like absolutely beat the shit out of them. And we had to do this thing, and I used to have really long hair. Believe it or not, I had fucking hair. That fell out in Israel. So they shaved this fucking thing like in the back of my head, and then they braided it, and it was about that long. And I had to walk around like through the airport and everything with that fucking thing on the next day. And I don't even remember doing it. That's like the whole shitty part of the whole thing. And the guy that did it was Jason Hammett's father.
So I imagine that's probably something you guys reminisced about a little bit when he was up here.
Yeah, actually, I just thought about it. I haven't thought about that. I haven't thought about them since I shaved it off my fucking head.
That's so funny. All right, so you've gone the college route. Mm-hmm. You dipped your toes and had a cup of coffee or two in pro, and now it looks like a career change, right? Mm-hmm. Before you get into how you got into it, let's kind of explain a little bit for people, because it fascinates me. We barely touched on it on your episode and Beyond the Bench. Mm-hmm. What is saturation diving?
So there's in the oil and gas industry, all the platforms that you see all have risers, right? And underneath those risers, there's pipelines. So they got big barges that go lay pipelines. And then they bring in dive teams to hook the pipelines to the platforms. or to the underwater manifolds or whatever. So basically, in a nutshell, the job consists of being a underwater large pipe fitter, essentially. The welding is an easy way to describe it because if you say you were a diver, people just go right to scuba duba,
right.
And which is hilarious because I can't get a scuba license with all my certificates.
No kidding.
Yeah, they won't allow me.
What?
Yeah.
Whoa.
So that's hilarious. They want you to pay the $1,000 for it, and it's like, well, no, I'm not fucking doing that, dude. To go 20 feet in a pool with you, like, no, negative. Anyway, so there's different levels of depth, like everybody knows. Well, saturation came about in the North Sea, I believe in the 60s, and it was with a company called Brown and Root that started doing it. The French were really big into it, and basically that's where they blow guys down into a habitat. So imagine, like I always say, like imagine two like large Econoline vans that are stuck end to end, and it's a big tube. And off one side you'll have like a TL, which is your transfer lock, but that's your wet pot. You have the habitat, and then you've got the bell that latches on, which is like a lunar module, right? It's one you climb into that goes over the side of the boat. And if people YouTube it, they'll see what I'm talking about.
Gotcha.
But you live at pressure in a dry habitat, and then you have teams in there that swap out every 8 hours or 12 hours, depending on how many guys are in the chamber. And then it's a 24-hour work system with no decompression until the job is over, essentially. And they've done it. I think the shallowest I did was 110-foot sat, and the deepest I did, I think, was just over 800.
So when I was researching it with the Beyond the Bench episode a couple of years ago, the main question I had was, is your habitat above water or is it below water?
It's on the boat.
Okay.
So it's on the boat. And then, like I said, then they've got the bell that you climb into, and it separates off the system and then tethers down through, it has your umbilical, your life gas, which has your comms and everything. It's a big, like 6, 8, 7-inch umbilical that attaches, and then your lifting wire. And then you go down. Once the pressure in there equalizes with the depth that you're going to, a hatch opens, it's dry inside. Guy goes out and works. The other guy sits in there, monitors all his life support systems. And then the guy comes back, they swap out, and then the next guy goes.
How about that?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Or if it's a 3-man system, 2 guys work at the same time, 1 guy gets a day off, and they'll stagger like a 6 and a 6.
Sure.
The second guy will lock out after the first guy's been out an hour, so they can cover an 8-hour shift.
So how long are you in habitat for, like, on average? I understand it's probably job specific, but, how long?
30 days nowadays.
Okay.
Like, it's like there's guys that just pulled legend stats. Like, I had a buddy of mine, he did like 92 days once. Like, yeah, he's nuts. A lot of the old timers used to do a lot of time. Nowadays with safety, because it has become more global, a lot of the international stuff takes over the HSE, which is the UK's health and safety. Okay. And so they cap everything at 28 days.
Gotcha. So saturation diving, obviously very dangerous work. You're paid appropriately, maybe, but you're spending all this time in habitat. I'd imagine you take some time off. What's the lifestyle like as a saturation diver?
Complete and utter debaucherous. There's no way to describe it.
Like a work hard, play hard sort of thing?
Yeah, work hard and lose your fucking mind. Like,
wow.
It's debaucherous. It is. Yeah, it's very, very intense. It's yet fun. It would be like, it would be the same as like any sort of trade where it's real life support, right? Like whether it's military, whether it would be like linemen would be a great comparison essentially. Yeah, it's just debaucherous because like everything. It's not like you're on a ship, you're in the middle of the ocean. It's like not only can something kill you in the construction wise, in the sea, or hurricanes, typhoons. Like you're running from shit. Like, so when you get on the beach, everybody just goes sideways and like sideways and fucking hard. Yeah, man, it'll make you a fucking addict. It'll make you an alcoholic. It'll make you everything. The only saving grace is when you get called to go back to work, you get your head right and you go offshore and then you're doing your thing for 2-3 months at a pop. Like I would try to do 3 months at a pop So I would do a month of SAT and then a month on the deck and then a month of SAT when I really got into the international stuff. Sure. Really make it worth my time being over there. But yeah, no, it's live fast and, fucking try to leave a good looking corpse or not. I don't know. I mean, it was yeah, it was good. I mean, it's not healthy for relationships. It's not healthy for, it's not healthy for your mental health in an aspect because even when you do want to get out of it, like that lifestyle, that mentality doesn't transfer into real world. Like it doesn't. And so that was a struggle for me. A lot of guys stay in it for a long time. I left on top. I chose to. I think it was time for me to go, and I really wanted to get with Mike and start coaching hockey. Tyler, his son, was getting to an age where it was, it had been a lot of fun and that sort of thing. So, that was the biggest thing. You live really hard and fast for so long. Like it does not carry over into real life at all. And it was hilarious because when we bought this, when we bought the hockey team and we came here, it was so fucking funny because I'm so driven in I go, I don't. And for me, it was the first time I was actually doing something that was giving me purpose again, like it was when I was diving as opposed to existing. And I couldn't understand why people didn't have the same focus or drive. So and then I just became a complete unruly prick. And so that was one of the things that was taken away from it, where a lot of guys, they want to stay in it, and they want to stay in it for lifers. And that, I commend them because it is a rough environment, especially if they don't change their ways, because dudes fizzle out pretty fast. So
sure. So I mean, it's that stability, right? Like maybe that fear of the unknown, of leaving something you've been doing for 20, 30 years and then having to adjust into civilian life, knowing that it's going to be a rough haul. Mm-hmm. I can definitely understand that.
Yeah, it's funny because there, and everybody I worked with was awesome. It was an amazing brotherhood. It wasn't until I got into the international market that it kind of that mentality kind of changed. Because when you come up in the Gulf of Mexico back when I started, it was you earned your stripes the hard way. And they have an apprentice system called a tender, and then you break out and become a diver and that sort of thing. So usually the apprenticeships are extremely brutal. So when you've got a couple of guys that come in together and start working together, you develop a bond. And if you work hard, divers develop a bond, and then you carry that over into your normal life. They become your friends. And when you've done a lot of SATs with a lot of guys, they become your family. You know what I mean? So, and then there's not a lot of place for anybody else, even if you have a partner. Some guys make it work, man. And you know what? Good on them because they can do it. But the majority struggle with that side of it.
So if I'm hearing you right, it kind of sounds like the camaraderie aspect of it was probably familiar to you because you played hockey all your life up
complete
until
team
then, right?
environment. Complete team environment. It's a life support industry.
Right.
You're only as good as the guy standing next to you on it. So which is pretty cool. And that's where you see a lot of special forces guys get involved, ops guys, that sort of thing. Sure. Because they want that camaraderie. And it's life support industry, which draws a certain element. They used to, the last of the prison divers, the Chino divers, were kind of phasing out when I came in. But back in the day, there was a dive school in Chino State Penitentiary in California, and so McDermott, I believe it was McDermott or OPI or something, they used to hire all Chino hands. So and there's a lot of guys like that float around out there. But once again, though, it's one of those things where it's hard, but at the end, some of those guys can be the most loyal friends you got.
There you go. With the dive itself, maybe kind of take us through how do you pass the time when you're not actually you're in habitat, but you're not working. What are you doing up in that tube the whole time?
Sleep. And I used to, before technology caught up, we used to bring like bags of books.
Okay.
Not a lot of communication back in the day. Early on, it was maybe you get an email out, you handwrite it, and you pay somebody to type it for you. Not a lot of communication with partners. So to pass it, you just read. And then I think I was 2007, 8, they started bringing internet in and things started getting a little easier. But yeah, otherwise, and then movies, because you could put movies on ScanDisc. When they brought out the old PSPs, you could put movies and watch movies on PSPs and play games and stuff. And
That's awesome.
then they brought in Wi-Fi, and now it's shit. Now guys can take online courses in habitats, so in chambers. So, you know, it's developed, and now they're not in there as long. And they actually have more amenities, which they needed to,
For sure. So you're making the transition. You know you're going to leave this career. You're going to do something else. You're going to move to Colorado. You're going to hook up with Mike. And don't go too far into it, but what was that decision like? Because I think from previous talks you were like, oh, yeah, I'm ready. But what was that transition like?
Actually, the transition wasn't so much that. So, like, I moved out to Colorado in January of 11. So Mike got married to his wife, Jeanette, October 10, 2010. And the only reason I remember that is because that's the same day as my parents' anniversary. So I came out, and I was living in Nashville. I was kind of spinning my wheels. I ended up moving out there to take care of my uncle, who had cancer at the time. My dad and I would help do that. When I was offshore, my dad would take care of him. Then when I would come home, my dad would go back and spend time in Helena with my mom. And I got my own place, and I just didn't really like Nashville. I mean, Nashville itself was awesome. But, like, if you're not in the music industry based on the location that I was living, like, you meet some people, and then I'd go away for 2 months, come back, and they'd look at you like you had a dick run out of your face. Like, who are you? Oh, shit, you're that guy, you know? And it's like, okay, there's no connection here. So I ended up going out and going to Mike's wedding, had a blast, a lot of old friends. And I was like, you know what, I'm fucking moving to Colorado. So I moved out January 1, rented Mike's house, and him and Jeanette moved to another one. And then that was my transition into Colorado. And yeah, man. So then about that time, I was working in China a lot. And then I ended up getting international, like going strictly international. I wasn't working for American companies anymore. Everything I was working on was based out of Singapore. And so yeah, I did my first trip. I went to Thailand for like 3 months, I think. Came back, was home like 24 hours in Colorado. Went back and did like another 3 months. And then came back and did like 45 days. Was involved in Tyler's hockey, was involved with Mike and with the Tiger organization and stuff as much as I could be. And then yeah, I think the next one was when he sold his fucking house and I didn't come home. So yeah, it was just like, I was sitting in Singapore and he was like, yeah, man, I got some good news. I'm like, sweet, what is it? He goes, I sold my house. I'm like, cool. He goes, I'm like, what's fucking bad news? And he's like, you're homeless. Your shit's in storage, bro. You know, and I'm like, sweet.
Makes greener.
So yeah. So then at that point, I stayed abroad and lived abroad for about 2.5 years. Thailand, Singapore. I spent a lot of time in Dubai, a lot of time in South Africa, a whole shitload of time in Scotland. So yeah, so then I did that, and then I came back to the U.S. I was like, I want to move back, and then I moved back and got an apartment. I was still traveling a little bit. I did a couple of different like smaller jobs, and then yeah, man. Then I got a job in Mexico. I was replacing a guy that got killed. And I went down, and I wasn't feeling good about it. Like, I was, for some reason, I think I'd been home quite a stint. I think I'd been home like 4 months. And at that point, I realized like I didn't want to leave anymore. So you get down there, go there, and Mexico is interesting because I worked like 3 years in Mexico previous, or 2.5 seasons. And you down there, and it was just a different vibe, like a real different vibe. And got in the system, and there was a bunch of buddies of mine, so it wasn't like it was awkward or anything like that. I just started hearing footsteps, and that's not a job that you go into anything with any sort of level of fear.
No way.
And so I was like, I didn't perform bad. I was just blasé. I didn't do anything, you know. I didn't do anything like I normally would do, right? So I get out and I leave, and at that point I knew I was exiting. I applied. At that point, there was a decline in like early 2016 in the oil market, And so a lot of the work was shifting towards India. And I don't like India. So I was like, it's dangerous. They put you with people that aren't skilled, and it's not fun. And so like I was like, well, let me apply for the consulate visa. If I get it, I'll work. It was hit or miss who they accepted and who they denied.
Gotcha.
Like it was hit or miss. So I ended up in San Francisco at the consulate, getting my passport, getting my visa, or my visa, getting my passport stamped, getting everything like that. Submitted my documents, all that thing, and then came back, and then they denied me. So I was like, oh, it's a sign. Yeah. And at that point, June of 17, 16, I hung it up. I was done.
How about that?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Yep.
The lifestyle we mentioned earlier, and then you said you go into Mexico to replace a guy that died. Was that kind of playing with your head a little bit, having been home for a long time? Like, was it those two things, or were you just like, I'm not on my A game? Kind of take me through that.
I think it just, I didn't want to leave. So I think at that point you just start thinking about why the fuck am I here? You know what I mean? And then that just constitutes, everything is miserable. You're not, and you can't go into those systems. You can't go in with people in a bad attitude. Like you just can't, because you don't want it to permeate and infect the team. Right. So like, it was just, I just wasn't, and I had good friends in there, guys I worked with a lot. So it wasn't like I was in there with strangers. It wasn't like I was in there with slobs. It wasn't any of that. It was just, I think I'm done being offshore. I'm done living. Some barges and some boats were better than others, but as a whole, a lot of they're dirty. They stink like diesel. Like it's just was kind of over it. Kind of over the whole thing. It lost the frill, and I also was toning back on the lifestyle. And that's one thing that was really key for me moving to Colorado was to get away from the lifestyle. Because it does create really awful tendencies, and so with that being said, it was a shift. It was kind of, everything was just kind of shifting. The fact that it went down there and I wasn't happy about it just made it worse. It amplified what I was already feeling. You know what I mean? And so there's two kinds of people that leave the industry. Well, a few. You leave in a body bag. You leave on your terms, or you leave in 30 years. Like a lot of guys, if they can move up, like I was trying to supervise. And I think that was the other thing, that I went and got my supervisor's certificate, but I had to get panel hours. And the industry back then was really panel hours, meaning you had to sit in the shack, run the rack, run the dives, that sort of thing. And panel hours were hard to come by. And especially at that point when oil was kind of declining everywhere but India, like supervisors don't want to train anybody that's going to take their job. And if you're a good diver and you've got a great reputation, the last thing they want to do is pull you out of the water. Right. So like I saw the writing on the wall with that I wasn't going to move up anytime soon, and I didn't want to be in the chambers anymore. And to be honest, if I could have jumped up and got panel hours and not had to go in the water anymore, I probably last another 5 years or so. But like it wasn't in the cards. And so it was like, well, I'm not going to spend another 2 years doing this just so that way somebody can give me panel hours, because that's what they would do. Well, you go do this SAT for us, we'll give you panel hours. And you're kind of stuck in that realm, right? So, and then that just kind of played into it as well.
Right. All right. I think we're going to pause there because I think it's a good transition, because we really want to do a deep dive into your Colorado Springs days, which leads into ownership up here and everything that you're doing now. So, yeah, we're going to look forward to that next week. And, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Right now is the segment called Ask Jed, and I've got a question for him. I'm just going to ask it with no context for the group, okay? Tell us about the 6 irons at Jed's Pond.
Oh, fuck those guys. Like, honestly, like, I wonder who did that. Yeah, so, yeah, I may have thrown a golf club in the pond there. And then I think I got a bunch of golf clubs at the fucking banquet, didn't I? I think,
yeah,
yep. I did. I got a whole bag of 6 irons. So, yeah, there's what hole is it? The 12th, I believe.
I'm not sure.
I think it's the 12th or 13th. Maybe it's, I don't remember.
Sure.
And usually by then I don't have a fucking clue what's going on. But so I was, my business partner Mike Green, his brother Bob is a special little fella, and he can't really swing a golf club ever. He sucks at it. Like, I'll be honest. And we get up, and it literally is a 6-iron. It's a 6-iron to the pin over a body of water, and I am giving it to him. And Bob hasn't hit a straight shot since probably in the last 40 years. And I am giving it to him, and he's fucking mad at me. He's yelling and screaming. Everyone's laughing. It's a good time, and he hits it stiff. Like, he's within fucking 20 feet of the pin. Hasn't done that ever. In the history of golf, he's never done that, ever. And he may argue this point, but he fucking sucks. So
I can hear him right now.
And so, of course, in fashion, like, I am chirping him. He hits it stiff, and I'm like, fuck. I'm trying to think. Does he hit it stiff, or does he fucking whiff on it? I don't know. He hits it on. And he basically tells me to fuck off like he always does. He gets in his car and drives around. So, of course, you get over there, and like Greener's nephew, his wife, kids, everybody comes down on the green to mock me now.
Oh, of course. And
so I'm getting up there, and I may have had a few pops, or 38 dozen. And so with that being said, I end up sculling it, and like it literally fucking, I think it bounces off the tee box in front of me and goes right in the pond, and I just throw a fucking club. The worst part of the whole thing is it wasn't like the club just went away. It actually stuck in the fucking mud, like 20 feet or 15 feet off the edge, and just stuck up like Excalibur, like just telling me that I'm a complete and utter idiot. And it literally was like, it sat there forever just saying fucking, and it was out of reach for anyone to get it. It just sat there. And so everybody left it. And yeah, that the rest of the tournament, as much fun as that tournament is for all of us, like, that was like, I still don't live it down. And I think the next year's the year that they brought me I got a full golf bag full of golf clubs. So
how many, so that's how you got the
bag of 6-irons.
The bag of 6-irons, and that's how the pond was called, Jed's Pond.
Yeah.
That's incredible. How many 6-irons are in there now, do you think?
I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, in all fairness, like you said, Bob did hit a good shot.
Sure.
And like, in his younger days, like, he could play golf. But like, just over the last few years, I think it's just mocking him. He just hates, he doesn't like anything I say ever. So, yeah, so like that was I'm in 100% him and his brother Rick, Mike's other brother, and they all tag team this, and it's just, I still can't live it down. Like, it's still like, every year we go, and you've seen it, every year we still go. The tournament's amazing. It's a lot of fun. The turnout is, and literally I get mocked the whole time for it. And there's something stupid that they have put up there, to memorialize the fact that my club stuck out of the mud the whole time.
That's awesome. All right. Well, with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I know I did. There's a lot of interesting stuff here. I'm really excited to get into the next level of things, getting into the hockey and the coaching and bringing this up to where we're at now. So thanks for watching Unscripted. I'm Brad Oldhouse. Matthew back there on the ones and twos. Jed Snyder, thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Deuces.